I think about an attraction at the United Nations building. Now, maybe you've been there and you've seen this particular exhibit at the UN building. It's called the Golden Rule Mosaic. When you go to the United Nations, there's this mosaic made of stone. It's based on a painting by the American artist Norman Rockwell. And this painting is a depiction of people from different religious backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, and social strata who are standing shoulder to shoulder in various poses of contemplation or prayer or smiling or interacting with each other. And it's this idea of unity, despite our big differences. And etched right into the mosaic, right into the very fabric or the stone of the mosaic, are the words, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." And so the mosaic is called the Golden Rule Mosaic. Now, it's interesting, the Golden Rule is one of these things that we hear all the time, and it's across cultures. Like I said, I've been to numerous continents, numerous countries, and there's a familiarity with this idea of the Golden Rule, of doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. But what's interesting about the Golden Rule Mosaic at the UN building is that it became cracked. Now, that's poetry. The idea that we want to do unto others, that there's this picture of unity, became so cracked that it was in need of restoration. I think this is a poetic picture of what's going on in our world today as the idea of unity is becoming more and more eroded as time goes on, as humanity seems to have lost its humanity. Now, the mosaic was eventually restored, and the Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations at the time, Jan Eliasson, at the rededication ceremony, was talking about the Golden Rule and the mosaic itself. And he said this about the Golden Rule. He says that it reflects the very essence of our mission as set out in our charter. At its core, the work of the UN, based on the Golden Rule, is about narrowing the gap between the world as it is and the world as we want it to be. We sometimes forget, because we're so familiar with the Golden Rule, where this actually comes from. And there's various versions, as I said before, of the Golden Rule in various different cultures and in various different religious settings. But the particular framing of the Golden Rule that we see in the UN, and it's on the hearts and minds of so many people all around the world, is found on the lips of Jesus of Nazareth. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. We see this in Matthew chapter 7, verse 12, where he says this, "So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you, for this sums up the law and the prophets." You know, it's interesting. This idea of doing for others as you would have them do unto you forms the foundation of how the UN and all of us in our various spheres of work, whether it's legislative, whether it is part of the diplomatic corps, whether it's part of the businesses you're involved in, whatever it might be, we're trying to narrow the gap between the world as it is and the world that we want. We're trying to get rid of these conflicts. But as you look around and you see the despair that's happening and the strife that's happening in our world at a breakneck pace, the gap is not getting narrower, the gap is getting wider. The cracks are getting wider. I know that all of you are dealing with very complex problems, and I don't mean to simplify them. You're dealing with complex domestic issues, foreign issues, conflict. But my humble suggestion is that this peace, the shalom, the irane, the salam, the wholeness with God, and then with each other, could be the fountain from which each one of our policies flow. And with that fountain, perhaps, as Jan Eliasson was so hoping when he rededicated that mosaic, perhaps we, together with this shalom, irane and salam, can narrow the gap between the world as it is and the world as we want it to be.